Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. Today we're going to look at some jigglers. I always try to work in a couple of jiggler episodes every season because I like jigglers, and they're kind of hard to fit in among the action figures and other stuff. It's they're kind of an odd kind of product. They're not action figures, they're not model kits, they're not games, they're not this, they're kind of weird. And sometimes it's hard to really do justice to them as far as showing you what they look like. And there's not a lot you can say about them, there's not a lot of information on them. So it can be difficult to do a jiggler episode. But I still try to do it. And they're so small, like I've got a lot of ugly stickers jigglers, but how do you do an episode on that? I mean, there's so many of them. I could just take a big bag and just dump it out and have a mound of ugly stickers jigglers. But I don't want to do that. I mean, I want to hold up each character and talk about it. And what is this one? And it's difficult to do. We'll get around to it eventually. But I picked a line that I thought was very, it was finite. It's not an endless line that just goes on forever. There's just a certain number of them, and that's it, and I can show you those, and you've seen the whole line. There it is. So that's why I picked these. These are the Ben Cooper creature people. Or at least this is one Ben Cooper creature person, I guess. She's generally considered to be a female creature person. And this is generally considered to be the male of the creature people. And there's more than just these two. We'll take a better look at them in a minute. But these are made by Ben Cooper. And these particular ones are from 1973. But they made some later. So Ben Cooper is, well, it was a Brooklyn-based company known for their Halloween costumes, like the vacuum plastic masks and the vinyl smocks with a picture of the character on the chest. They're the most famous name in Halloween. I don't think any company really rivals Ben Cooper. There's also Collegeville and Halco and many other smaller costume companies. As far as masks and things, of course, there's Topstone, which is a company near and dear to my heart. And there's Don Post and Distortions Unlimited, Be Something Studios, Fun World, all kinds of companies that specialized in Halloween products, Imagineering. But I think when you talk about companies that are known for Halloween, it's got to be Ben Cooper. And unfortunately, they don't exist anymore. The brand name is still being used, but that company hasn't existed since the early 1990s. It started in the 1930s. I think it was 1937. I could be wrong about that, but it was the 1930s. And they started making Halloween costumes and blew up and became the biggest manufacturer of Halloween masks and costumes in the world. Rivaled by Collegeville. That would be their arch nemesis would be Collegeville. They would be the second most popular, successful, well-known Halloween costume company. I did an episode on Ben Cooper some time ago, I think for Halloween. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. And I talked a little bit more about the Ben Cooper history and the founders and all that. So I won't get into that now. I really wanted to do a Ben Cooper jiggler episode that explored all the Ben Cooper jigglers. I have almost all the jigglers they made. I've got a box over there that's just stuffed full of Ben Cooper jigglers, all kinds of superheroes, cartoon characters, movie characters, you name it. And of course all the Halloween and the monsters and the bugs and all that stuff. So I've got quite a few Ben Cooper jigglers. And to try to do justice to all of them, it would just, oh gosh, it would be a 3-hour video. And so I don't want to do that. So I think the way I'll handle it is over time. I'll just bite off little pieces. So we'll look at the creature people. And another episode, we'll look at like the insects and the spiders. And maybe for next Halloween, we'll look at the monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, witch, devil, etc. And eventually we'll look at the non-scary characters like the superheroes and the cartoon characters. Even though they're not monsters, as far as I'm concerned, if it's made of rubber, it's a monster-adjacent toy. If it's a jiggler, I don't care if it's Barney Rubble. If it's rubbery and it's got an elastic string on it, it's monster adjacent because it's from that world of jigglers, which I associate with monsters and bugs and gorillas and snakes and creepy crawly things. The creature people, they're probably my favorite of the Ben Cooper jigglers. I guess it was for Bleak Sunday, I really wanted to get an interview with someone connected with Ben Cooper specifically to talk about their toys. They called these action figures in their catalogs, these jigglers, because everyone always talks about their costumes, but people don't talk about their toys or really any of their rubber products, because Ben Cooper made rubber masks as well, and I have several Ben Cooper rubber masks, so I could do an episode just on that. If it's made of rubber and it's got Ben Cooper's name on it, nobody talks about it. All they want to talk about are their plastic costumes. I really wanted to do an interview with someone focusing on the toys. And I did make contact with a member of the Ben Cooper family. And she's a very nice person, and I think I might interview her at some point about the company in general. And she did do some research to try to find some information about the jigglers, but she just couldn't find anything. Her father was really the surviving patriarch of the Ben Cooper family, and unfortunately he passed away. And I think when he died, he took a lot of knowledge with him. There is as far as I know, there's a former Ben Cooper president who's still alive. And the family member I talked to didn't have any connection with him. Couldn't tell me where to find him. So if you know how to get hold of the surviving Ben Cooper president, obviously past president, let me know. Put me in touch with them. Because if anyone can tell me about the history of the toys, the Ben Cooper toys, I would think it'd be that guy. If it's not him, it's probably nobody. And it's too bad that we lost a few names in the Ben Cooper world in recent years. So a lot of first-hand knowledge about the company is disappearing. And I think the general history of the company and the history of the costumes is fairly well documented, but not the history of Ben Cooper, the toy maker. Ben Cooper, the toy manufacturer. I'd like to know more about why did they get into figures, rubber figures. What was the entryway into that? Did they already have some kind of contract with some sort of PVC rubber manufacturer, or were these already existing wholesale from Hong Kong and they just distributed them? Were any Ben Cooper designers involved with sculpting these? I mean, why do they think they had to enter what they called the action figure market? Why why was that a smart move on their part? How did that fit into their strategic planning? Because they were so known for costumes, why get into toys? And then why did the toys change? Because they were very soft and rubbery at first, and then they became, as you'll see, they became very stiff. They went from a soft PVC to a stiff PVC. Why? Was there something like with the petroleum market and the price of petroleum that necessitated a change in the formula? So if anyone could help me get in touch with someone who has first-hand knowledge of that, I'd like to interview them on camera and do a special episode focusing on Ben Cooper toys, not the costumes, the toys. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's talk about the toys we have in front of us. In 1973, Ben Cooper introduced these creature people jigglers, and they were already doing other jigglers. And I don't know why they did these weird generic jigglers. They were doing like Frankenstein and Dracula and Wolfman and witch and devil and skeleton and stuff like that, and animals and things, and spiders and grasshoppers and flies. Why did they do these bizarre things? Let's take a look here. I hope I can do these justice as far as the getting them on camera is concerned, because it's kind of difficult. They're really weird and oddly shaped, but you can see that they've got an insect body and then a human upper torso. And these are some of the oldest pieces in my collection. I don't mean old as in when they were made. You saw I had a book from the 1800s a few weeks ago. I mean old as in when I bought them. These were some of the first collectible toys that I bought when I started collecting toys. These very ones. Like in the first year or two of my collecting, I bought these things. And there's a reason I went after them so early in my collecting. These were very important to me. They have an emotional attachment to these creature people. So you can see the bottom of the body, how that's designed. A lot of rubber insects have that kind of design. A hairy torso and these weird bloody hands. And it looks like they have two right hands. You see that? The thumb is facing outward on that hand when it should be facing inward like this one. See? And here's that crazy head. Again, this one's considered the male. And what is it really? I don't know, but people call it the male of the creature people. And it does look like it's male. Here's my favorite of the two is the yellow female. So that's a purple male. This is a yellow female. She's a little more delicate. It's kind of hard to hold her. I'm worried about the rubber tearing or something. You can see she's got a female figure there. You know, if we're talking about traditional gender norms, she's got a female figure. Again, she's got those huge oversized hands, and again, two right hands with all this blood smeared all over. Big oversized hands. I love her face. Look at that. Look at that little face. She's yellow, and usually when you find these, The male's purple and the female's yellow. But there are yellow male examples out there. I don't remember if I've seen a purple female, but I definitely have seen yellow male. The yellow male is rare. I don't think I need to take her out. I have an extra one of the female. That's how I store these things in these bags. I have an extra one. This is the second one I bought. So the one I just showed you is the first one I bought. I bought this one a few years later. It's kind of hard to see it in this bag. I mean, it's the same one, same toy. I think I had a couple that didn't have the tags at one point, and I sold those. These have their tags. Now their elastic is turned hard, and that always happens with these older jigglers. The elastic turns hard and crispy, so you can't really dangle them anymore. The later jigglers, they have a thicker elastic. That's often still stretchy and still usable. You can dangle the jigglers from them. But the older jigglers have the longer, thin elastic. Like these, the elastic gets brittle and hard and cracks, and you really can't hang them from that anymore. My Billy is making little sounds over there. I think he's okay. He's just playing. I'm going to show you some other creature people. But first let me tell you why do I have a attachment to these. So when I was a little kid, it must have been 1973 or thereabouts, 74, 75, I had this yellow female creature people bug woman. And I remember seeing them in their display box, their counter display box. I guess it was at Skaggs. It was a drugstore. I think it was Skaggs. And I was real excited. And luckily my parents let me buy the yellow creature woman. And I just loved this crazy little bug woman. I played with her all the time. I thought she was really cute, really fascinating. She was just adorable. And she was so weird. I liked her yellow color. I liked her little crabby face. And I would just make her fly around. and one day, my mom was angry about something, which was pretty normal for her. I'm not exaggerating. I don't know if I can remember a day of my childhood when my mom was not angry about something. She was angry every day. That was just life for her. And I think maybe I had some toys lying on the floor that I hadn't picked up, and this creature woman was one of them. And my mom was just steaming, and she picked up the creature people girl, and she just pulled her all apart, ripped her, all of her limbs off, and threw her away. And I can remember standing there watching this happen, and it's a bad childhood memory because I really, really was attached to this toy, and I just saw her get all ripped up. So when I started collecting toys, I knew one of the first things I wanted to do was replace this, and I did. So that's why this rubber jiggler was one of the very first things I bought when I started collecting. And as long as I was buying her, I bought the other one at the same time. I think I bought them from M&J Variety. And back in the early 90s, M&J Variety had stuff like this at almost original retail price. I mean, I don't know if I bet I didn't spend more than $15 total on this pair. I don't know, $5 each, $10 each, something like that. M&J Variety was, they advertised in Toy Shop, and they had all kinds of jigglers and Halloween stuff and joke items and novelty stuff, and it was all cheap because they had tons of it. They had unbought store stock, and that's what these were. And I stupidly didn't even think to ask about the counter box. They had an M&J variety. They had the box, but they had more of these in it. I should have just bought every single one and bought the whole box, but I wasn't thinking like that then. Not many people were. Now I wish I would have bought it. Just say, give me the whole box. But no, I just wanted one of each to replace that childhood loss. So that's why these have a special place for me, these Ben Cooper creature people, especially this yellow girl. And they're unique for a lot of reasons. Many people compare them to 1950s science fiction monsters, especially not so much the monsters in the movies, but the monsters in the poster art, like the Wasp Woman. I think is probably a good comparison to the yellow creature people girl. But there are other sci-fi posters from the 50s that have those kinds of bug monsters and human mutants. That's what they seem like. They seem like 1950s style mutant bug people. And I keep thinking of the movie Invasion of the Bee Girls, even though there's nothing like those creatures in that movie. Invasion of the Bee Girls has nothing like that, but the title reminds me of, like, it should have creatures like that in it. It doesn't, but it should. And you don't see a lot of vintage jigglers with that kind of design. Now, in 1973, Ben Cooper also made a series of boxed costumes called Creature People. And one was like a creature from the Black Lagoon, sort of amphibian monster. There was another one was like a frog, and they all had this sort of vaguely alien swamp monster kind of a look. And as far as I know, there's no connection between those costumes and the jigglers. I guess Ben Cooper just liked that name, Creature People. Had a nice ring to it. They didn't have to pay a license for it. They owned it, so why not stick that brand on as many different things as they could? So they made some jigglers. Hey, call them Creature People. They made costumes. Call them Creature People. And then a few years later, they used the name again. So this is one of these second series Creature People. And I don't know what year this came out in. Nah, there's nothing but Hong Kong. For a long time, people didn't know who made these things. There's a couple more to show you. I think this is the most famous one. This is the one that people call this the Black Widow. So that's the whole creature. You see, it has all those little hands. And that's a trademark of the Creature People. They have these human attributes mixed with insects and spiders. And here's the underside. There's that design again with the, I don't know what you would call that, but I guess that was a way to, something about the molding process. Maybe it was a solid hunk of rubber, it would be harder to mold. So they always made these abdomens like this. It's got a kind of tarantula-like underside. And there's the face. I hope that's in focus. There we go. It has almost a Wicked Witch kind of a face. That's a good shot there. And that's why people call it the Black Widow. Very bizarre. Now this is made of a much more rigid PVC. It is not as jiggly as the ones I just showed you. And you can see there the elastic, it's thicker. And although I'm not going to try it, you probably could dangle this toy from that elastic and it probably would be okay. And it's bigger than the earlier ones. And I don't know what year these are from. No one really knew what these were or when they were made. I think most people thought they were much later than they turned out to be, until some packaged ones surfaced. So these were sold in a bag with a header card. And I think it had a card that extended all the way down. And that's when people knew that these were Ben Cooper Creature People. It was a second series of Creature People. And I think since then, a catalog has turned up that has these in it. But I don't know off the top of my head, and I couldn't find it online. I don't know what year these are from. Maybe it's on the packaged examples. I don't have a packaged one. Sometimes the packaged ones go for a lot of money, but then sometimes you can find one selling for cheap. It just, it depends what day it is. They vary widely, and the loose ones vary widely as well. I mean, sometimes loose ones will sell for just hundreds of dollars loose, and then sometimes you can't sell them for $75. And it's got nothing to do with condition. It's just sometimes people want to buy them, sometimes they don't. I don't know why. For a while, they were really going crazy, price-wise. I think part of the problem is, I don't want to get sidetracked, but this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. Let's go back to I'll get back to it. I don't want to get sidetracked. Let's keep going with this for a minute. Okay, here's another in that line, the second series of Creature People. He's a scorpion. At least that's what his pictures look like. And he, except for his face, he doesn't have any human appendages. He doesn't have any hands or anything. And even his face is really not that human. He has a demonic face. Something about that face reminds me of the mask in Mario Bava's Black Sunday. I don't know why. Just something about it reminds me of that mask. I'm not saying that was the intent when they sculpted it. I think they were just trying to make a demonic-looking face, that's all. He's got horns. You can see he's got a little stinger. That's his underside. Hey, Billy. There's Billy. You know, when you get the jigglers out, that Billy comes around. He likes those jigglers. Here's my Billy. Here's a cool one. I mean, they're all cool. I think this one's especially cool. This is like a flying reptile, like almost a dragon. It does have human hands, so it's got a little more of that old-fashioned Creature People design. Very elaborate wings. And the whole thing is this is one of the more elaborate sculpts, I think. Lots of detail. He's stiff. Those wings don't really flap. He's stiff. So all these second series creature people, they're made of this stiff PVC. They're not oily, jiggly like the older ones. And I don't know what year they're from. I'm guessing that these second series ones are probably like as early as maybe 78, 79, and as late as 83-ish, something like that. But I really don't know. I did look them up before I recorded, and I just couldn't find any confirmation of what year they were made. Maybe it's on the package, and even if it's on the package, that doesn't mean it's the year they were introduced, because Ben Cooper put a lot of things, they would put things out with a tag, and then some years later they would put it out in a bag. Like I've got 1980s bagged with a header card Ben Cooper toys that are the same figure that they made almost a decade earlier with a tag, but not in a package. So they would make something like in the mid-70s, and then in the mid-80s they would put it out in a bag with a header card. So you can't go by the date on the package. If there are creature people in packages that have a date on it, that doesn't mean that's when they were introduced. And I don't think I've seen loose second series creature people with tags. I think that the only packaging I've ever seen is the bags with the header card. I don't think I've seen one with a tag on the elastic string. So maybe they were only sold in bags. I don't know. I've never heard of one of those second series creature people made of the more oily, jiggly rubber. Every one I've ever seen has been made of that stiff PVC. And Ben Cooper, by 1980-ish, I think really like 79 around then, but definitely by 80, 81, all of Ben Cooper's jigglers were made of that stiff PVC. And they remade some of their earlier ones that were originally in soft rubber. They put them back out in this stiff PVC. But like their second series Marvel superheroes are all stiff like that. And there's other like their Pac-Man jigglers there's not a lot of jiggle in them. They're heavy, stiff PVC. So not all jigglers jiggle, but we still call them jigglers though. The world of jigglers encompasses a lot of things, from like the Russ Berry, really, really oily jigglers, to the more stiff PVC jigglers that you could knock someone over the head with, to the modern jigglers that are hollow and filled with pellets. They're all jigglers. So 5 characters, that's all I'm aware of for the creature people. There might be others. I think that's it. I think it's those 5 characters. And it's a fanciful line, and it stands on its own. It's not like the House Haunters. That's a Halloween monster jiggler series from Ben Cooper. They're not connected to anything else. They're just this weird original series of toys they're not from a movie, they're not from legend or folklore or pop culture. They're just their own thing. And where they came from, I don't know. I don't know what Ben Cooper was thinking when they made those crazy toys. But they are my favorite Ben Cooper jigglers. And like I said, I have just about all the Ben Cooper jigglers. But of them all, those are my favorites. They were when I was a kid. I really liked the Devil. And I've got several Ben Cooper Devils. So that kind of rivals the creature people. I guess that's my second favorite. But my favorite of all the Ben Cooper jigglers are the creature people. They're unique. They're weird. I liked them as a kid, and I like them now. Well, what else can I say about the creature people? I think that's it. In the future, I'll do other Ben Cooper Jiggler episodes, and I'll take it one step at a time. So maybe I'll do bugs next time. Bugs or spiders, snakes, alligators, animals, and maybe I'll do Halloween characters in October, like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman. And we'll see how that goes, and bite it off in little chunks like that. But if anyone out there has a contact who worked at Ben Cooper, who knows about the toys, the rubber jigglers, and can give some information about what was that all about, why did Ben Cooper get into the toy market, and how did that go for them, and how did they design these things, and what was the process, and all that stuff, all that information. If you know anybody, please put them in touch with me so I can do an interview and then everyone can enjoy it. I guess that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you next time with something completely different. Until then, the one who dies with the most toys is dead.